It's about people and buildings. But the people in this space, to me, are the best. They're fun to work with. Part of it, I think, is a reflection of the audience we work with, right? Students, whether on campus or off campus, housing them, being around them. So it's just it's an industry of really good people.
Whether you're developing a new student housing community or acquiring an existing one, fast and reliable internet isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. But when it comes to serving college students, standard telco providers often fall short on both performance and support. Don't risk a frustrating experience for you and your residents. Choose Campus Technologies, a provider with nearly 25 years of expertise in delivering top-tier internet infrastructure and exceptional customer service for student housing nationwide. Beyond high-speed wired and wireless internet, Campus Technologies also offers managed IT services to keep your property management team running smoothly at their properties. Even if you're not currently in the market for a provider, you need to know the best practices for upgrading your property's internet infrastructure. Download their latest white paper today. You can find the link in the show notes or visit campustechnologies.com. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Student Housing Insight Podcast. I'm your host, Wesley Dease. I'm also the CEO of Student Housing Insight. If you don't know anything about Student Housing Insight and this is your first time joining us, we are a platform for off-campus student housing professionals to network, share ideas, as well as data. You can find out more about our platform at studenthousinginsight.com. And if you're driving or taking a run, please don't stop to write that down. We'll put that in the show notes so that you can link directly to it, as well as any of the other things that we referenced today. In addition to the podcast, we also host the industry's monthly webinar for the U.S. called Shop Talk. Each month, we provide legislative and policy updates that are impacting our industry. Shop Talk also provides a monthly overview of pre-leasing data on a national and regional basis, along with a panel of operators who provide their on-the-ground observations. And we typically provide a topic of the month as well. So a lot of great information. And if you are involved with the operations of student housing in the U.S., you should definitely be registered to receive our monthly invites. You can do that by going to our website at shoptalk.info. Again, that's shoptalk.info. And we'll also provide a link for that in the show notes as well. Well, it is that time of the year again that we're talking about the biggest conference in the student housing industry on the globe, and that is the Interface Student Housing Conference that happens in Austin. This year it's April 9th through 11th. And as always, we are checking in with our good friend at Interface, Rich Kelly. Rich, how are you doing?
I'm good, Wes. How are you? Good to see you as always.
Well, good to see you as well. And, for the folks that, don't know much about Interface or France Media or student housing business, really quick, just give us that kind of, elevator pitch of what it is that you guys do for the industry.
Sure. So Student Housing Business Magazine is kind of the central point of everything we do. It's a 6-time-a-year magazine chronicling the goings-on in the student housing space, both on campus and off campus. We also have a publication called The Gold Book, an annual guide to come on all the leaders in the space. We have a website, studenthousingbbusiness.com, a weekly e-newsletter. We do a lot of webinars, e-blasts, things like that. We are part of a company called France Media, as Wes said. France Media is basically a commercial real estate news and information company. We have 16 different magazines covering seniors housing, multifamily, retail, some magazines that cover all the property types, office, industrial, retail, multifamily by region. All those magazines typically have a website presence, a newsletter presence. And then the third leg of the stool at France Media, and also with Student Housing Business, are conferences and events. So as a company, we do a lot of events in the multifamily space, seniors, net lease, industrial, retail. Within Student Housing Business, we do Interface Student Housing, which we're going to talk about today, which is the biggest event that goes on in the industry. We do an event called LeaseCon TurnCon, which, as the name implies, is focused on leasing and marketing in turn. And then we also do a couple of smaller exchange events where we bring together a group of developers and also a group of operators. So that's kind of who we are at Student Housing Business.
Well, I want to get into, we've never really kind of covered the origin story of student housing business. So I want to get into that in just a minute. But yeah, really quick, you guys, finished up a fantastic, I guess the fifth year now, conference called LeaseCon TurnCon, that was here in Charlotte back in December. And I've covered a couple of highlights on that, on the podcast, but just kind of curious, what were some highlights for you?
Highlights for me were some of the new elements we introduced, which actually came from you and your ambassadors. So thank you, Wes, for all your help. We did a regional leasing roundtable at the beginning of the first afternoon, where we broke it down to 5 regions, and one person would kind of talk. And the idea was they weren't just doing all the talking; everybody in the audience would be peppering each other with questions. And here, how's it going in this market? How's it going in that market? What are the challenges you're facing here? Where we're finding success over there? And it was really neat just to see people. They could really feel like they were getting something out of it, talking about their markets with people that had similar challenges. We also did a panel this year for the first time of students, which you moderated. And it's really interesting always to hear the actual end user of your product. We do
Right.
that in the seniors housing industry with some at our active adult conference. It's fascinating to hear from the residents. Why did they move into this place? What do they like about it? And that's what we tried to do with our student panel too. What do they like the most? What are their pet peeves? Not surprisingly, maintenance came up, right? Getting work orders done. So it's really cool to hear from the end user. The students we had were great, and I hope that's something we'll do every year from now on.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun doing that as well as preparing for it. And yeah, if that's something everybody wants to do again this year, would love to do it. And yeah, I agree. The regional roundtables I thought were fantastic. I stuck my head into at least 3 of them, and good conversation going on. And from what I heard from you know some of our ambassadors that attended and or hosted, they said that was the one thing they got the most out of, was that they definitely want to see that integrated again next year.
Well,
So
rest assured it will be. Especially in this day and age, it's important to talk about what's going on in markets, and hopefully share data, or at least, if not data, at least anecdotes about what's going on from occupancy and rent trends and things like that.
yeah, yeah. Well, hey, I've got you on today because I wanted to kind of do our annual preview of what's coming ahead for the Interface Student Housing Conference down in Austin. This has been, I mean, when I say this is the biggest one on the globe, I mean, I'm not making that up. It is. And as far as off-campus student housing is concerned, and it's just been amazing to watch this thing grow. You're in your 17th year of the conference. I've probably been a part of at least 12 of those, I think. And it's amazing just to see how the attention to the industry continues to grow, kind of no matter what the economic conditions are. It's I thought we would have some off years, and outside of COVID, there's really it seems like each year it just continues to grow in attendance. And I want to talk about the specifics, but it kind of, as I was kind of preparing for this, I thought, you know what? You and I and Randy have gone to dinners, and we talk a little bit about the origin story of how that conference came to be, and the magazine and everything else. But I don't know that the audience has heard so much about that. I thought it would just be good to ask you, what is that origin story of, and we don't have to go back to the beginnings of France or anything, but as far as with Student Housing Business Magazine and this conference, give us a little bit of a history lesson on that.
Sure. So I joined France Media. I don't think you say during or coming out of the GFC, the Great Financial Crisis, and my job was to go into the company and develop new products and try to do new things, and build on what the company already had. And one of the areas that had come to my attention just before that was student housing, kind of a little known niche in the greater multifamily world. And as I looked at it, I realized there was no real association for student housing, and MHC, and NAA covered it a little bit, but nothing direct. Certainly there was no news or information source in terms of a magazine or a newsletter or anything like that. So I went to my boss, Jerry France, and I said, I think this is an area that is something that we should explore. I think it will grow. I had no idea how fast or how big it would grow. And he said, well, like the first thing, the best way to test it is, why don't we try to do an event? So we did our first interface student housing in Philadelphia at the Union League. And we were able to get, I don't remember exactly, 150 maybe people, 200 people. And Jerry came to the event, obviously, and he just did what he always does, which is you just talk to people, in the food line waiting for lunch. I think he talked to Bob Clark and said, hey, is this a good idea, this conference? Or what if we did a magazine or something like that? And he talked to other people too. And the consensus everyone had was, yeah, that I think there'd be a market for it. There'd be interest. It would help the industry. The industry would help you. And we tested the magazine, and it was pretty much a success from the first issue. And we've been able to grow the magazine, the event. Obviously, you launch a website, a newsletter, and all sorts of other stuff. We do a good job. I think we do a very good job at the magazine and with the conference, but you're always a reflection of your industry. And it's certainly helped that student housing has grown and grown, away from the mom and pops with the rundown house to purpose-built, beautiful buildings. On-campus housing has certainly raised their game over the years as well. As the industry did well, you started to get more attention and more dollars coming into the space. Those came from a lot of different directions. Now, as we all know, a lot of it is institutional. A lot of it's from overseas. It wasn't always like that. Nothing gets built in a day, but it's been a nice, steady growth and progression. You've seen some firms in this industry just grow and turn into behemoths, which is amazing to watch. You still see new people entering the space and doing a great job. And at the core of it, and I know you would agree, and I think everyone in the industry would agree, this is an industry, especially all real estate asset classes, but it's an industry about people. It's about people and buildings. But the people in this space, to me, are the best. They're fun to work with. Part of it, I think, is a reflection of the audience we work with, right? Students, whether on campus or off campus, housing them, being around them. So it's just it's an industry of really good people who have a good sense of mission, good sense of business, like to have some fun in the process as well. And it's been a great 15, 16, 17 years for us.
Well, it's we certainly appreciate what and I'm talking as an industry veteran, what you guys have been able to provide. I think the so much of it, there used to be a day when we would know about the things that were being traded and everything, almost instantaneous, because there was just so few folks that were in the space. And as we got bigger and bigger, we have really depended on what you guys put together, certainly in the publication, the weekly newsletter, to really kind of follow what's going on, and a lot of things that would have not helped us evolve as quickly as we did. So I think you guys carry a lot of that success. It's not just the operators and the owners and the developers in the space. I think you guys have helped a huge amount with that. So thank you for everything that you guys do. And let's talk about what's coming up with this next conference. Really quick, I may have flubbed on the date earlier. It's the 9th through the 11th of April. So good to be back into that kind of first to second week of April, because we've kind of post-COVID, we've shifted from between May and everything else. So glad to be back into that spot. It's a great time to be in Austin. But what's on tap for this year? Let's start with the opening day.
So opening day is kind of grown as it has, at a lot of conferences in the space. So we're going to do a session that we always do on kind of data, what's going on from a data standpoint. I think it's always a great way to start to get that out there, especially these days, since there's been a lot of talk about data and maybe people not sharing as much data. So I think hopefully that will be a very good session to start off with. Our friends at the W Collective are going to be doing a session also on Wednesday that will be talking about women in development, which I think is going to be really good and very timely. And then we're introducing a new panel to the event and doing it on Wednesday, and that's going to be on international student housing. What's going on, whether it's Europe, primarily Europe, I would think, certainly touch on Canada, even maybe Asia as well. And we're going to have panelists that are active in those markets, in those regions. It's been interesting because we've had a lot more international folks coming to the event over, let's say, the past 2, 3, 4 years.
Right.
So I think this will be a great panel for them. And you're starting to see a lot of the big U.S. players look at international markets as well. I mean, Harrison Street's been overseas for many years. Landmark is now really making an effort, and I expect that will continue with some others as well. So we're excited about that session. And then that leads into our roundtables, always a treat and a fun part of the event. We will have probably 25, 30 roundtables, niche topics that maybe we can't cover during the regular agenda because there's only so much bandwidth and space that we have for sessions. So this allows us to focus in on or allow some discussion on topics that are of interest to people. And we'll have, a host at each table, and people get up and go from table to table. And then that leads into the opening networking reception from 5 to 7 in the exhibit hall.
Gotcha. And for, those that are in the audience listening to this, and if you're, part of a owner or operator, I want to mention we are doing what has become an annual brunch on that opening day before, you guys really even get started with registration on that day. But that will be start at 10 a.m. It's going to be at the JW. Again, thank you to you and your team for making a little bit of space available to us for that. But we'll go from 10 to 11 with a network brunch, and then we roll into a podcast live recording is the way I describe it. But I say live because we open it up to the audience for questions. But it'll be this year. We've got Jen Cassidy, Casey Peterson, Adam Byerly, and I'm waiting to hear on one more. A little bit of a surprise on that fourth one, but we're just going to be talking about all things operations and what the future of student housing operations look like. And we've kind of done this year after year, and it's a great podcast, great content for sure. But I kind of like how we've opened this up with a brunch, because the operators really get a chance to kind of talk and meet with each other before everybody just gets so busy with the rest of the conference. So
sounds good. I'll stop by. That sounds like that's a great lineup you got.
Yeah. And if you're an owner or operator, just go to our events page. You'll have the ability there to register. Well, hey, let's go into the second day, which is a super long day. It typically, I think, opens up with the power panel, and then we go all the way to the innovator awards in the evening. So tell us what's on tap.
It's a big day. Power panel should be interesting, especially this year with what it would seem some interesting trends and things going on in the space. Yeah, we'll have probably 15 sessions over the course of the day. We also have an hour exclusively devoted to the exhibit hall. Happy to report the exhibit hall is sold out, which is great. Companies in there really can help everybody in the industry operate more efficiently and profitably. So really encourage everybody to go into the exhibit hall at various points. We still do have a couple spots on the third floor, which is a new thing we added a few years ago. So in case anyone still wants some visibility, we can offer that. And then another cocktail reception at the end of the day in the exhibit hall, and then the Innovator Awards. Record number of entries this year. Some categories that are, a lot of really good entries, design, development, interiors, architecture, development. I already said development, but that should be interesting to see who winds up winning those. And then Friday morning, we come back with 7 more really good sessions. I know I say this every year, but I really encourage folks to stick around on Friday, attend those sessions in the morning. We'll have you done by noon. You'll be home in time for dinner. But really, get up, because some of our best stuff is on Friday morning.
It certainly is. And I see a lot of folks that have now started extending their stay into Saturday. So
hey, why not? It's like you said, it's a nice time of year to be in Austin. Go hang out by the pool at the JW. There's a lot. Obviously, Austin offers a lot of good restaurants and nightlife. So why not stick around?
Yeah. And hotel wise, we know the block is sold out at the JW. You guys have on the hotel a list of hotels on the website for the event, so people can find links there, or just do a search for something close to the JW.
Wish we had room for everybody. It's just the hotel only has so many rooms, and then they can't offer us all of them. And Fortunately, there's a lot of hotels within, gosh, almost literally like 500-600 yards of the JW. So there's no shortage of places to stay, and good places to stay too.
Great, great. And for the vendors and the suppliers out there, I know the exhibit hall is sold out. Any other opportunities for sponsorship, or I know you guys on the lower floor typically do something out in the hallway area there, that
Yeah,
a lot of people are.
we have the tabletops on the third floor. Those get a lot of traffic because we
Yes.
do so many sessions on the third floor,
Yeah.
and also a lot of the private meeting rooms are on the third floor. So people are kind of going up and down and all around on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So yeah, the third floor is a great option. Another thing we've seen more of in recent years is companies sending out a pre-conference e-blast, where, see us in booth, 503, or, set up a meeting with us on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. So that's another way that companies could try to get out in front of folks before the event.
Well, hey, I am super excited about it this year, and looking forward to seeing you and the interface team there. I know you've got a couple of other conferences that will be coming up in the spring. Are you guys coming back to Charlotte for the Southeastern
Yes,
multifamily?
yeah, we do some events in May, the I-85 industrial corridor, and then also what's going on in Carolinas multifamily, and also healthcare, MOB, real estate as well in the Carolinas. So yeah, that'll be later in May. But right now, interface student housing is first and foremost what we're focused on, and it's a Herculean task, but it's a fun one, and we are super pumped to see everybody in Austin in, gosh, 5 weeks now.
Well, we will put links to the event page in the show notes. So if anybody needs that, that's where that will be. Or you can simply Google 2025 interface student housing, and it will come up. I've done that a couple of times this week already. So, Rich, thanks so much again, and we will see you in Austin.
Thanks, Wes. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience about the event. Obviously, the event doesn't happen without everyone in the industry supporting it. So we appreciate everybody coming, appreciate you and what you do with SHI. And again, we'll see everybody in April 9th through 11th.
Great. We'll see you there.
Thanks.